Welcome to What's Your Skincare Routine with Leora Luciano. I'm so delighted to have Christina Peng joining me today. Christina is the CEO and co-founder of Havyn, a brand born from her own search for hope and comfort during her journey as a mom, navigating her son's severe allergies. After years of leadership in top beauty brands, Christina found herself redefining skincare, trading in clinical fragrance-free routines for creating something beautiful, luxurious, and safe for families like hers. In today's episode, Christina opens up about the heartfelt inspiration behind Havyn, the challenges she's faced as a founder, and the joy of seeing people light up when they discover allergen-free fragrance that doesn't compromise on luxury. We'll talk wellness rituals, favorite products, and Christina's mission to make a difference by supporting trafficking survivors through meaningful work. So whether you're curious about clean beauty or just love a story that blends heart and innovation, this conversation is sure to inspire. Hi, Christina. I'm so excited that you're here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here as well.
Could you give us a little bit more about you and how Havyn began?
Great. Yeah. So my name is Christina Peng. I am the founder and CEO of Havyn Beauty. We are the first fine fragrance brand to be fully allergen-free, which I am so excited to share more about what we're doing with you guys. I have a long history in the beauty industry. I have had leadership and executive roles at a number of beauty companies like Dermalogica, Neutrogena, and most recently COOLA. Left corporate almost a year and a half ago to focus on launching Havyn with my partner.
And with your epic career in beauty and the corporate world, what made you take that leap? Was there a specific incident or trend that inspired you to start this journey?
Absolutely. So when I had my firstborn, he was diagnosed with severe allergies and eczema. And it was just a really interesting journey because we found that he would react to absolutely everything. So that meant we had to get rid of everything in our household, anything that had fragrance in it. We realized a huge culprit, and that included getting rid of things that I was wearing because he would even react to something that was on my body if I was holding my son. And so that just opened my eyes to, okay, what is in some of our products that we take so much for granted to be safe that is kind of causing these issues. And so I began to kind of look into it more. And that's when I really discovered that the idea of something clean and natural is not the same as something that's allergen free. And, if you think about it, everything that we're allergic to is natural. And a lot of natural products out there, I think on the one hand, they're focused on being more like non-toxic, but they're using things like almond oil or macadamia nut oil or coconut oil. And a lot of these common ingredients that, if you're not allergic to them, there's nothing wrong with them. They're great. But for the population that is allergic to them, they can't use that. And it can be actually really harmful and disruptive of their skin barrier, not to mention giving them reactions. Then on the flip side, I discovered that a lot of sensitive skin products out there, a lot of clinical, kind of more derm related products, they weren't necessarily focused on the same types of clean standards. So it was this weird spot where I was in the industry, but I really couldn't find anything suitable for not only my child, but even suitable for myself to feel comfortable wearing around my child. And I think the big aha moment for me was when I was talking with some of my other mom friends who were going through the same thing. And one of my mom friends said, I just hate all my beauty products, and it was because she had to switch out, all of her stuff, whether it was like perfume, skincare, makeup, everything had to become fragrance free and just super clinical and boring and white. And as a mom, sometimes you're going through so much that your beauty routine is at one moment that's for you. And to not even be able to have that was just for a lot of people, that's something really challenging, whether it's your child who has those issues or you have developed some kind of sensitivity. And so that was a moment where I realized, hey, I think there's a gap in the market for something that looks beautiful, that feels like a luxury beauty product, that smells amazing, but that it's both clean, but also allergen-free.
That's a huge undertaking for you to go from that initial spark that must have been so heavy on your heart as a new mom to encounter that. And I can only imagine the frustration that you felt. But I feel like, to your point, a lot of people in that situation would just say, okay, well, everything must go. And I kind of have to either reintroduce or try products through trial and error to see what works. But you took that to another level by starting your own brand, founding a company to solve that problem. So that's pretty incredible. And I can imagine with that come a lot of challenges and major breakthroughs because you've had a very successful launch and some big aha moments. So, can you share some of those challenges, maybe that you had to overcome? I'm sure there were many, and then those big breakthroughs and those big moments.
Yeah. Well, I guess I can start with some of the challenges. I've been in the industry a long time, so I didn't think things were going to take me by surprise, but there always are. And I think one of them was just how challenging it was to formulate products like these. I guess it makes sense why no one's done it yet, because it's challenging, it's time intensive, it's cost intensive as well. And arguably, maybe the market is a little smaller, or you have to go out and create that market because a lot of people don't know that this is even an option yet. So there's a lot of challenges in that regard. And I think for us, what we found was with formulation, we had to just go through so many different rounds to get the product right, because what we're doing is we're formulating the fragrance first and then formulating it into the product. So not only did we have to go through formulation rounds for the fragrance, which in and of itself took a really long time, but then there were moments where we would get to almost the end, and then we would be doing our regulatory check and due diligence, and then realize, oh, okay, there's actually something in there that wasn't supposed to be in there that we told you we didn't want in there. And then we would have to go back to square one. And that happened countless times on both the fragrance side, but also the product formulation side. So, we thought that we were going to be launching some of our products like back in January, and we ended up not launching them until maybe just a few months ago. And that was pretty quick, I think. And there's still a couple products right now that we were hoping would have launched this summer that are a little delayed because we just kind of run into these challenges. But for us, that commitment to our ingredient standards is so important that we're just not willing to compromise on that. So if that means we had to push out the launch a little bit, that's just what we have to do, because we're so committed to wanting to make sure we're getting the product the way that we want it, because that's what we, as both consumers, as parents, as people who care about health and wellness, that's what we prioritize, and we want to be able to do right by our future customers as well.
Yeah. How many SKUs do you currently have available?
Yeah. So what we actually did was we started off in candles, because that was an easy way for us to test fragrances. Because with candles, you can actually make those in small batches. You can really focus on the fragrance experience, and we can get instant feedback from folks. So we actually launched in candles. We have 8 allergen-free fragrances in our candle line. And what we did was, every time we were at a market, we did a lot of farmers markets our first year, we would get customer feedback live on the spot, and people would tell us, hey, this is one that I would wear on my skin. This is what I would want in a perfume. I would tweak it this way. So we were getting that live feedback. And that's how we decided to take of our fragrances into more of our beauty. We have 3 fragrances that are available in fine fragrance, and then they're also available in a fragranced hand cream. So from a formula perspective, we really have 3 formats. We've got the candle, we've got a allergen-free perfume, and then we also have our collagen hand cream, which has become a fan favorite. And we have those available in 3 different fragrances.
Yeah, I have mine. I keep mine right at my desk. Yeah. So you mentioned testing the market through farmers markets, actually. I think that's really interesting. And what kind of feedback did you get from those experiences, in addition to seeing what everybody liked? Did it help you put forward your hero products, or was it more about validating the different scents that you had?
It was all of the above. I think the farmers markets, they were a very low cost way to get ourselves out there. And we would treat them as live focus groups every time we were there. So whenever somebody would come up and we would talk to them about our fragrances, like what drew you to come to look at our products, and we would just really start picking their brain about what stood out, how we could be talking about our brand. We were testing different positioning ways of talking about the brand. And that's how we landed. At the beginning, we were trying to focus on like, hey, should we go more with our mission? Because we also have a mission component to our brand where we are employing and trafficking survivors in their recovery journey through providing jobs. Like, should we go through that angle about talking about some of the mission we're doing? Should we talk about kind of more the uplifting nature of our fragrances, or should we be talking about our allergen-free benefit? And that's how we landed on allergen-free as a main point of differentiation, because that was something that really stood out to people. Like, hey, I haven't heard that before. That is super interesting. That is something that I need. So it was just getting this live feedback that was super helpful. I think it was also just seeing which fragrances people would just gush over. And then, I think the biggest testament was when somebody would come up and they would be like, oh my gosh, like I'm a Joe Malone girly, or like, I'm obsessed with Le Labo. I love your product. So that type of feedback gave us a lot of encouragement to keep going.
Yeah. And you mentioned something that I think is really big, the mission component. Could you speak to that a little bit more as well?
Yes. So one of the things that we do is that, we use a portion of our proceeds. We earmark that internally in our company to provide extra services so that we're able to not only hire and provide a foot in the door for trafficking survivors, but we're able to invest more in job training programs, mentorship programs, just other resources that are needed to support them on this journey. We partner with a local nonprofit here in San Diego where that they're called Generate Hope. And what they do is they aid in the recovery. So they provide residential services and a whole kind of recovery program with therapy, education, and the whole gamut. And what we do is we're coming in toward the latter half of their program when the residents are ready to kind of transition back into society, and we're a job partner for them. So we actually directly hire some of their residents who are trafficking survivors to kind of help them in this journey.
That is incredible. And I love that that is built into the heart of the brand already from the start. It's a wonderful thing.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's sometimes hard to weave that into the story because it's not necessarily related to sensitive skin. When you're starting a company, you can focus it on the areas that you're passionate about. And prior to having kids, I actually had mentored a young woman kind of coming out of that life, and we helped her get her first job, but we just saw firsthand how difficult that transition was. She was entering into a company culture that was just not very trauma informed, very triggering. And there were moments where she would just disappear for weeks and we wouldn't hear from her again because it was very easy to kind of give up and go back to things. And it took several times before she really exited that life. And during that process, I was always like, oh, I wish I could just be there to like hold her hand through the day and like coach her through the hard things that were going on in the workday. And when we had the opportunity to start our own company, that was just something on our hearts as something that we could provide using the space that we were creating.
And I wanted to ask you the inspiration behind the name. Where did that come from?
Yeah. So originally, Haven was actually a potential baby name. So we were considering it for my daughter. I ended up naming her Jordan with a Y instead of Haven with a Y. But I love that name. So I kind of kept it in the back burner. And then when we started thinking about the brand, it just made sense as a name because as a parent of children with allergies and eczema, you are always on edge and feeling this sense of anxiety of what's going to cause the next reaction or what is safe. Like, how do I create this safe environment? And I wanted our brand to be a place where, people could just let go and feel free to be able to just trust the brand. So a haven in that regards, but then also, of course, providing that safe space for the survivors. So creating a physical kind of like haven through our space as well.
Wow, that's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Now that you've launched, what would you say customers are loving the most so far?
I would say I have a couple things to share. So the Grace perfume. So my personal favorite was our Hope, and this is a preview of our full size that's going to become available very soon. This is my personal favorite because it was the first fragrance I came up with. I also just love pink, So this is my personal favorite, but really the fan favorite has been our Grace fragrance. The feedback that we've gotten is that it is a totally unique fragrance that people haven't really smelled before. A blend of a fresh rain, a pear note, as well as some white lily and like a hint of jasmine. I like to think of it as like you wake up one morning and it's that kind of like fresh morning dew note, but there's like fragrant flowers in the background. So really fresh. So this has definitely become the fan favorite in both the perfume as well as the hand cream. Our hand cream has actually been a huge hit because of the unique texture. And again, my background has been primarily in skincare. And so when I think about fragrance and a hand cream has always been one of my favorite personal products, but I don't have a favorite one out there because there's always something I would change about it. If the fragrance is good, it often doesn't feel good as a hand cream, or it might be too greasy. Or if I have a really great therapeutic hand cream, it doesn't really smell that good, So I wanted to make a beautiful fragranced hand cream that felt deeply therapeutic, but was still very light and non-greasy. And so what's called our comforting collagen hand cream, it has vegan collagen in it, this amazing therapeutic ingredient called ectoin, which is what makes it deeply hydrating. But then we use this balmy kind of like cushion cream kind of texture, which makes it really non-greasy. And that's really been a hit with folks as well. And so as I think about how we expand our portfolio, there's so many different ways you can enjoy fragrance. And I think all of the different ways people want to enjoy fragrance, whether that's through candles, through perfumes, but also very much through experiential body care. A lot of our pipeline is focused on these different formats to bring that fragrance into people's lives in the different ways that they enjoy fragrance.
I love that sentiment. Now we have to get a little bit more personal. I want to ask you about your wellness rituals, if you have any, especially as it relates to body care that you can share. And then I'll ask you, of course, the big question, but can you share a little bit about your wellness rituals?
Sure. Yeah. I think there's always more that I wish I could be doing, but a lot of my wellness does have to do with my skincare and beauty routine, and so I tend to keep it pretty simple and minimalistic for the most part, but I've got my morning routine, my evening routine. Both of them involve cleansing, of course, moisturization, sun care in the mornings. I used to work at COOLA, and so I still love my COOLA sunscreens because they are also just really well known for these feel good formulas and textures and beautiful scents as well. So it just, you're taking care of your skin, but it just feels really good also. And then, of course, my makeup routine in the evenings. I mean, to be honest, I'm actually using a lot of our Havyn products now because I'm testing a lot of our new formulations to come. So, like in the shower, like all sorts of things. So that's actually become part of my wellness routine also. And then of course, just, prioritizing yourself, like eating healthy. I need to be doing more exercise. So that is something that is on my to-do list. But yeah, a lot of that right now, just for wellness, it has to do with just finding time to take a moment in the mornings to just reflect on what happened the previous day, kind of what's going on now, how I can make the most of this coming day, and really kind of like saying a prayer and kind of like meditating through that. So I'm really like focused and, I feel like I'm being really intentional with my time each and every day.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. I know you have really full days. So I think setting aside that time for intention and reflection, that sounds absolutely lovely. But I wanted to ask you, get into the nitty-gritty of your skincare routine a little bit more. I know obviously SPF is really at the top of the list. I know, and I know as I look around and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cooler. That's cooler. That SPF, that one that I keep like at my desk to
Oh, I
try to
love
reapply
that.
throughout the day. Yeah, it's a must. As a founder, starting and
Yeah.
basically for all of these reasons, you had to eliminate a lot of products, I'm sure. Were there certain things that you were disappointed that you had to get rid of for baby's sake and for your sake, with all things considered?
I mean, my fragrance routine, that's definitely something that had to go that I haven't been able to find a replacement for until, what we've developed. And the funny thing was, so I used to use Jo Malone like all the time. Like I had the different scents, I would like layer them, but that was something really sad I had to let go. And the funny thing was, even as my kids got older, when I tried to reintroduce it in, I actually developed an allergy to that. So I wasn't able to use it anymore. So that was kind of devastating. And it's just interesting. I learned the hard way, but allergies are something that can also develop over time. For some people, you're born with it, but for others, you could be fine one day. And then over time, you could just kind of develop an allergy to something that you've already been using. So that was something that was really tough. I did have to get rid of a few different brands of makeup and just some other like lotions and everything. And a lot of that was replaced with much more kind of clinical products. I definitely have Cetaphil and CeraVe as part of my routine. I still use some of my Kiehl's because they tend to be pretty fragrance free and I've always loved their products. But it gave me just the opportunity to really explore and discover all these clean brands as well. I have as part of my routine, definitely the COOLA, but also I use a lot of Beauty of Joseon products, which they're not only K Beauty, but they actually also have very clean formulations, some Elia products. I still sneak in some of my Laura Mercier, which is, I just can't let go of that. I've been using it since like forever ago, like since I was in college. And just a couple of those products I just can't let go of them. So they're still part of my routine. But for the most part, things have transitioned either to fragrance free and clinical products or some of those clean brands now.
Okay. And also, while you're speaking of what's maybe at home, I know as a founder, you're probably traveling more than you used to, because I feel like you were always traveling, but I feel like you have some really good travel tips.
Yeah. I would say they're more like survival. And so the funny thing is I used to travel a lot more by myself. So, that was very easy. Now we are traveling a lot, but we actually travel with the family sometimes. So we've brought our children with us to trade shows or to manufacturing visits. And I would say during those is, I do try to make sure I have all of my own skincare essentials. I think one of the things that used to happen was like you would just rely on whatever the hotel might provide you or, different things that you would get. And that was always a recipe for disaster, always having travel size versions of the products that and rely on, as well as I think on the airplane it's a great opportunity to put on a sheet mask or make sure you're staying hydrated that way, but just being really prepared. I think I've found too often I just go into things. That's when, you know, things kind of fall. So,
So, beyond the immediate goals and happenings, what is the bigger brand vision for Haven and what are some of your long-term goals? Can you share those with us?
we would love for the brand to one day become just a brand that people and are aware of. I think there is absolutely room out there for a brand that is focused on the sensitive consumer in much more of a beauty type of capacity. Yeah, the long-term goal would be to just continue to build the brand, build our community, and one day just be truly a very accessible and viable option for people who have been left out of the skincare and fragrance industry for a long time.
Yeah. Where can everybody shop and where can they find you?
Yeah. So on our website, for sure, everything is available at Haven Co. We are also available at some spas and resorts, primarily on the West Coast right now. So we're at some of the Montage properties in their spa, the Fairmont Spa down here in San Diego, and some local boutiques as well. We're working on kind of publishing all the places on our website so people can find us. And then, of course, our pop-up location, which is located in Rancho Santa Fe for the next 6 weeks for now. We'll see what happens if we're going to be there for longer, but we're right down the street from the inn at Rancho Santa Fe, and I can share with you the address as well. It's also on our website. And then our hand creams actually just went on Amazon.
Amazing. Okay, great. So I will be sure to link that in the show notes. And before we close out, I wanted to do some rapid fire questions. The first question: what is your can't live without product and ingredient?
I think my can't live without product would have to be my COOLA refreshing water cream. It is, it's just this amazing moisturizing formula. It does everything. It gives me my SPF 50 in the morning, but it also just smells absolutely delicious. So I can't go anywhere without that. And I think if I wake up and forget it one day, I just don't even feel complete without that. So that would probably be my absolute go-to.
And I am actually with you on that. This is supposed to be rapid fire, but my 2 cents, it's literally the product that I have on my desk and I have too many cords
Oh
and I
my
don't want to mess things up, but
yes.
that's literally the product that if I need to reapply, I'm like, okay, I have it by my desk. I sit next to a window. So it's like,
Really.
okay, this reminds me. And it's so easy. It's just
It's so
one of those
easy.
products that's like, it does all of the
Even
things. And then
even,
it's like, oh, I should reapply.
even my kids like it because it's, like, fun to use because like, the little pump,
Yeah.
it's, like, goes on so easy, and then I don't like, the ingredients are great, so I don't have to worry about it on them, so half the time they're, like, using it.
I love that. Fun for the whole family.
Exactly. Expensive, but,
What is a beauty trend that you're loving?
Ooh, I think there would be a couple. I just love the collagen everything trend. I just feel like you can't get enough collagen. I'm like, "Give me all the collagen." But also, I love how some of the soft focus, more minimalistic, very neutral kind of like makeup trends are coming back. I know there's definitely still kind of like the bold out there, but everything kind of like it always comes back around. And that's always been a little bit more like something I feel comfortable with. So I'm glad to see that's kind of starting to trend again too.
Is there a trend that you'd like to see go away or be retired completely?
I don't want to offend anybody. I could do without the beef tallow thing and so like all the make your own products and there's so much that goes into making sure a product is safe to use that you just can't possibly replicate that in a home environment sometimes.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm a little wary of a lot of the DIY trends. There's some that I think are fun, but there are some that really take it to another level and are quite scary. Okay, so last rapid fire question. What is your ideal self-care day?
Oh, well, I think it would be waking up without my alarm clock, which in my case is usually somebody screaming mommy. So kind of like waking up at my own pace to a hot cup of coffee that is ready. I'm a big coffee drinker, but then just have time to, as I mentioned, like reflect in the morning, but then going into a spa day. I'm definitely somebody who that's what I do to pamper myself. So just being able to kind of have a day where I can like truly just kind of take my time. I don't have to feel like I'm like rushed or anything. Get a facial or get a massage and then just relax by the pool and then having just a lovely dinner with either friends or family.
Are you dining al fresco for this, or is there a favorite restaurant that you have?
Oh, al fresco for sure. Yeah, just something where I mean, we're so lucky here in California too. It's all the time, even when it's a little chilly. So yeah, just being outside, just enjoying the sunshine, maybe having a glass of rosé as well, sparkling rose.
It sounds like a beautiful day.
Maybe you can join me.
I will absolutely take you up on that sunshine spa day and just, yeah, hanging out. I love it. Thank you so much, Christina. Thank you for doing the rapid fire questions and sharing a lot of insight to your journey as a founder and entrepreneur and the amazing launch of Havyn. A big congratulations to you on that. I'm so excited to see what is to come next and excited for everyone to learn more about it and try the products for themselves.
Thank you so much. It was so great to get to speak with you, and just thanks for having me on.